Fireside Collective.
Welcome back to All That Jam, where music has no limits. I'm joined by Jesse, Carson, and Joe from Fireside Collective. We are going to have the other guys pop in a little later. They're stuck in traffic or something like that. How we doing, guys?
Good, man. How are you?
Doing great.
Fantastic. So about a year ago, we talked to you, maybe a little bit longer than that. And at that time, you guys had mentioned that you were doing a shake-up, adding a drummer. So how did that go? Well, why don't we start there? When did he first start playing with you? Was it January last year? Or?
Yeah, so we actually had him sit in with us last October. So October of 23, he sat in for one show. And then we finished most of the year out as a 4-piece string band. And then New Year's, we brought him back in. So we started off with a bang, had a big show with supporting Big Something at the Lincoln Theater in Raleigh. And then on New Year's Eve, we did an Earth, Wind, and Fire tribute set in Roanoke. And that was our drummer's first, weekend with us. So we just hit our 1-year mark a couple weeks ago.
Did you play the Earth, Wind, and Fire set straight, or did you make it country, bluegrassy?
Oh, it was pretty straight. We had a horn section, and the horn section was a little confused when they asked to join a bluegrass band and to cover Earth, Wind, and Fire. But then, Michael, our drummer, he's played in so many different formats with different genres and stuff that he knew exactly what to do, and he really made that. He tied the show together, tied the horns and the strings together. It was a phenomenal show and a great way to start our journey with the drums.
Right. Now, are any of those songs still around? Have you kept any as covers, or?
We haven't brought them back. We actually, right after the New Year's show, in January, we had a kind of a grueling tour where people were sick. I was the sickest I'd ever been. I tried singing one of those songs and my voice just died, and I didn't go back to it, but I think we could probably hit a few of those. Right. They all sounded dope. Mm-hmm. It was just, the horns helped too.
We had a lesson in funk learning all those songs, which I think helps in our funk jams now. So they're around still.
Right. Yes. Like Fish with doing Cross-Eyed and Painless, that album, Remaining Light, altered, it added that extra thing there. That's you got to do September if you ever play on that day in September or whatever it is in the song.
That's true. We should bring that one. That was fun.
20 I don't know, 20 something day of December. That's fantastic. So you guys did get into the studio not long after that, right?
Yeah. So we've been kind of slowly working on a couple singles since Michael joined, but we've got our first big batch coming up here. We're actually starting pre-production sessions today. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely a journey adding the drums in and seeing what worked and what didn't. So, it was cool to start out with him in the studio on a couple tracks and then to kind of see how it developed over the year. And then now where we're at, we have just such a better idea of, what works and what doesn't.
Right. And we can find Whippoorwill, which has Michael on it, out there now if somebody's interested in getting a quick taste of what's going on there, right?
Yeah, tasting the drums. We got a live album too, which is cool because as we've played with drums, I feel like our sound has matured rapidly. So it's cool to go back to a show we played last year in February in Charlotte. It was just a really electric show, a lot of energy, but we've evolved a ton since even that point. But that gives a good idea of kind of what we sound like with drums, how we've
captured in that moment. And then I guess later this month, we're getting another drop.
Yeah. We're doing our furthest departure from the old Fireside, the string band Fireside. So this one's an instrumental. It's part 2 of Whippoorwill. They're kind of like a suite. So this one's called Down in the Holler, and it starts out in a weird time signature and then goes to like a kind of a disco beat.
Oh yeah.
It's like a
Techno,
disco beat,
disco.
trance. And then we just rage, we jam. It's cool. It'll give people a good idea of what to expect, you know, at a late night festival set with Fireside, or, you know, a set where we're doing 2 sets and we really expand in the second set and open it up and get the, you know, there's something magical about locking into a groove and forgetting space and time, and just, you know, like that's why we love jam bands.
There you go. There you go. And then there's another single too, and is that part 3, or is that a completely new song?
I mean, depends on how you look at
Well,
it.
dude, it
It's
can be
all
whatever
one
you want it to be,
continuous.
man.
It's a song Joe wrote over here. Another departure from the bluegrass, but it's got a bluegrass groove. But you know, I thought it was cool because it kind of reminds me of like what would Red Hot Chili Peppers do if they had our band. It's got kind of some cool vibes like that.
Yeah.
So when you're writing something now, Joe, are you thinking you have a drummer? Is that a consideration in your mind, or you just, I have my idea, I'm going to bring it in and see where it lands?
That's just kind of how I've been doing it, is just kind of like, I mean, in the previous years, it would be like, all right, well, like, you know, I got to sing some songs in Fireside Collective, and it's got to be bluegrass or close to it, because that's what we were doing. That was what the label that we were on was doing. But now, I mean, we definitely feeling the most free. I mean, it's I mean, I just write them and then bring them to the guys. I'm about to bring a few here today to the guys, and we'll all you know, experience it, play through it or something. And if it's vibing, then maybe we'll cut it, you know. But
Are you doing stand-up still, or are you all electric? I think, but when I talked to you last time, you did that we were talking that it was the bass. You said you were going to play electric bass, and you hadn't done that before, or I might be confusing that, but
I'm all full-time electric now.
Okay.
But the last time we talked, I think I'd been on the electric bass, maybe 6 months at that point.
Okay.
After transitioning from upright, you know.
Yeah, it was kind of a experiment at first.
Yeah, and I think everybody liked it, so I just kept playing the bass guitar.
Right. Is that strange, switching like that? I mean, they're both bass, so I guess the notes and the chords are the same, or?
Yeah, it's the same tuning. The strange thing was going when the band started, when I had to first start playing upright bass. That was the strangest thing, because I grew up playing bass guitar. So now I'm back. I'm back, baby.
He's back like he never left. I feel like the very first, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I feel like the very first, like, was it when we went to the beach? And
Palm Room.
We were playing like these shows that we figured would be lightly attended, but we were gonna, like, you know, work out some new stuff. And Carson wanted to bring his electric bass, and we were like, sure, man, like, let's try it out. And then, like, after that run of shows, I feel like everybody was just like, don't ever bring that up, right? Like, I mean, now we might use it at some point, but I mean, the man's a magician on that E-bass, man.
They're both great instruments.
Yeah.
Do you have pedals too, or are you just going straight with the bass? You got pedals, some working pedals?
I've got the pedal board building, you know. When I look down, I see about 10, 12 pedals.
I was watching this last summer. I saw ZZ Top. They played before Trey at some festival, and I was amazed that neither one of them, I don't know the bass player, their new bass player's name, because the other guy died, but they didn't have any pedals on stage. They just walked out, and the guitar player, they changed the guitar out every song. So I guess that's how he got the different, you know, sounds.
Well, there's honestly, you know, on that level, like, there are situations where there's a guy off stage hitting the pedals.
Okay.
Like, and that's, you know, that's not the world that we're in. We're definitely in the, I want to push my pedal, and
right.
Like the produced sound when you've reached that level and the songs are played the same every time, and you know you hit that super buzz when that solo comes around.
He looked
yeah.
frail. He looked like he might break a bone if he tried stomping a pedal.
That's probably,
But they've been together, what, 650 some years? So
that's wild.
that is crazy. 50 years, my God. So has Whippoorwill been in the rotation for the set list? The whole, or all three of them, or have you only played the part that's been released?
We've been playing all three of them. And it's been cool. We, you know, as we started to jam more in the string band world, we started to stretch things out. You know, our song average went from like 5 minutes to 6, and then we added drums. It went from 6 to 7, and then you know, Down in the Holler, the kind of raging instrumental trance jam. I looked at one the other day, and it was 15 minutes. I was like, oh, okay, all right, we're exploring the outer limits of
Where it goes.
sonic possibilities. So it's
Right.
been cool to like take these songs with drums and you know, really see where they can go. Because like when we were a string band, we couldn't enter a jam and all of us just strum a note. The song would stop. There's no beat anymore. But with drums, though, we hit these jams and the hi-hats just going, and like Carson can let a bass note ring out, and like, you know, we can strum a big chord, and then the build can start. And it's really, it's been so dynamic and allowed us to stretch out our live shows. And you know, our goal was kind of always to like weave together these songs into one continuous experience, even if we stop between a song or two. But you know, obviously Fish and the Dead did it better than anybody, but that's kind of what, you know, like I love that they, especially the Dead, they still wrote great songs, but then the live show, they take those songs and they'd stretch them and spin them and speed them up and run them into another song. And like, to me, that's why, you know, 50 years later, they're bigger than they've ever been.
Right, we're hitting 60.
Is it really 60?
60, that's 65, yeah.
That's too
Yeah,
long.
we're a full quarter century into the new millennium at this point.
Yeah, it is 25, isn't it?
Yeah.
Damn. 60 years.
60 years, yeah, that's so crazy. Now have you guys sat down and consciously said we're going to do practice exercises in order to help us learn to jam like this, to open these things up? Or is it just we're flying by the seat of our pants and let's see where it takes us?
A little bit of both. Yeah. I mean, we've definitely had like practices where we were like, what do we do if we're jamming? Like, how do we exercise the ability to listen and react and build a jam together rather than everybody trying to like just noodle off into space? You know, we're trying to create something that feels very immediate and is unfolding as the audience is watching it. So there have been some practices, but also part of that is surprising. Like there have been times where I put 2 songs on the set list that go into each other, and someone's like, "Hey, how do we do this?" And I'm like, "I don't know. We're gonna figure it out."
You gotta get from A to F sharp. You figure it out. It's like a math problem. It's like giving everybody a pop-up quiz there.
Yeah, because then it's real.
Keep
you
us
know,
on our
you're
toes.
really like, what are you doing on stage? What is all? We got a tag in. We got. Oh, he's out.
He's gone.
Dobro player
That
came.
was Tommy. He'll come back.
That was quick. Hi.
Man of little words.
Right. So are you guys are we always going to know that you started out as a bluegrass band?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we've got Threads of Grass. That's our new album. Threads of Grass. Now
Nice.
we've got it through everything. I mean, I personally as a songwriter just love that groove, you know,
Right.
like I feel like it's underdone compared to like the bluegrass, or I mean the rock and roll
Right.
beat. So like I'll always find ways to slip that groove in there. Plus, like we've noticed before we had drums, we used to add all these little tricks to every bluegrass song, like drop out here, build it up here, you do guitar, guitar, mandolin, rip here, bring them back in here. And now we just play a bluegrass song from start to finish, and it hits the audience harder than it ever did when we had all those tricks in there. Like the drums definitely help. And I mean, we've got mandolin, dobro, acoustic guitar. So like, you know, I think it's really cool because we got a string band, you know, front, and then a rock band in the back. So like, you know, we're making a little
like a mullet.
Like a mullet.
It is kind of a mullet.
A musical mullet.
We are the mullet of bands.
Carson and Mike are the party in the back.
Right. How we doing? Who do we have joining us?
Hey, Tommy, I play the dobro.
Hey, Tommy, how you doing? Tommy was there before, right?
Yeah, I feel like we might all have been there.
Yeah, you all were in a church.
Yeah, we're
Oh,
5 points.
Yeah.
5 points.
It's a sanctuary.
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 Yeah.
I hear you. So have you guys added any covers that were suggested by having the drummer? Like you get the drummer, do you say, oh, now we can maybe try to expand beyond? I know you did the Earth, Wind, and Fire, but beyond that?
Yeah, I mean, some of the covers hit way harder. Like we were doing Sledgehammer, you know, Peter Gabriel, and when we added drums, it was like, whoa.
Next level.
Yeah. And then somehow we got kind of like, we did like a Grateful Dead tribute tour for like the most of the fall and some of the late summer. And so at first it was like, oh, let's throw in some that we've already done, like Brown Eyed Women and, you know, Eyes of the World. And then we were like, well, let's take it to the next level. So we started doing a Help on the Way, Slipknot, Franklin's Tower. And I don't think we could do that without drums. And no, it has been done. Billy's done a really cool version of that.
Right.
But for us and the way we play, having the drums opened up so many possibilities and allowed us to kind of find what we do best. And, you know, even though it's opened up so many possibilities, it's also kind of like sent us down a more clear pathway. Like,
Sure.
well, this doesn't work, so why force it? Let's just lean on this funk groove that we crush. And, you know, it's been both freeing and, you know, it's given a lot of direction to the band. It's like we got a new band, but with veteran players. And, you know, we're not a super group because we aren't all individually famous. So we don't have to worry about, you know, some of the challenges that come along with that. It's just like, it's really fresh and fun to have drums, but we also have all this material from being a string band for so long.
Right.
And it's a really cool dynamic.
Has anything disappeared? This doesn't work with drums?
Banjo. No, I'm just kidding. We didn't have banjo before that for a few months. But yeah, I mean, some of the grass, like some grass songs that are just like, we used to mostly play grass. So it's like 80 to 90% grass. So we have our fast grass, our medium grass, our slow grass, our funk grass, our, you know, all these different types of grass. Now it's
you
like,
should have called yourselves the Dispensary.
that idea.
Yeah.
That's actually a cool name for a jam.
Yeah. The dispensary.
That can be our like fan page.
Yeah,
There
you go. Dispensary.
I think everything works better with drums.
Most things work better. I mean, I had a couple originals that maybe just need another round of tweaking or something, but kind of like fell out that, you know, we haven't worked back in yet. But we've also, now we jam a bit more. So it like, you know, our songs are stretching 7-8 minutes average.
So you don't need as many in the pool.
Exactly. It's kind of like, you know, here's a metaphor. So when my daughter was, you know, 1, she was a chunky baby and like she started to grow out of her clothes. And then 2 years later, she like fit back into these clothes again. So like, it's kind of like, as we stretch out as a band, we're finding that we need less material. So like we have more material than we need. Whereas when we were a bluegrass band playing a 3-hour show, we need to play everything we had.
You needed 32 songs or something like that. Yeah, you look at this Billy Strings set list. I'm like, God, I can't even read it. The font's so small. You
So
have to
many
put-
songs.
So many songs.
Man, that's crazy. Did he played New Orleans New Year's? And then all that madness happened. Apparently, some people from the show got caught up in that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw that.
That was
It's
terrible.
just
Super sad.
crazy. Can't even go to New Orleans. They announced the Jazz Fest today. I guess I mentioned that earlier. So
Nice.
I'm thinking a lot about that. They're doing the first Thursday again. Last year they did it and had the Rolling Stones played, and you paid $250 and you got to see just the Rolling Stones there. But they
Damn.
don't have a name like that, like John Fogerty, Santana.
That's,
you know,
okay.
that isn't a Springsteen or a McCartney,
Yeah.
No, not
or
at
an
all.
Elton John or something. That would command people would pay $250 to show up and see on their own
Yeah.
there. But I'll say, have you guys ever been down there? I mean, just to go to Jazz Fest?
Not the Jazz
Not
Fest.
Jazz
no.
Fest.
I'd love to.
Yeah, that'd be rad though. I mean, it's legendary.
Right. You guys just gotta hop in the van, drive down there, and find a club to play in one afternoon, some bar. Be like, hey, we're here.
That'd be kind of fun.
We went to. This is in New Orleans.
Yes, yeah, guerrilla touring.
Guerrilla touring.
We went there one time, and it was.
We played the Howlin' Wolf, a little shitty bar.
Yes, I love that place. That's my kind of spot. I feel at home in those kind of places.
I mean, don't get me wrong, the vibes were immaculate. If you want, like, for a dive, but there was rodent shit everywhere, some sort of large rodent mammals feces, and then we played for a very. This was like a long time ago. Only a few people. It was kind of it was fun though. We started to do a tango line at one point. We made the best of it, but yeah, it'd be nice.
Sometimes those shows with the small crowds that just don't, make it at the door. The best shows though, because you can just say, hey, we don't have to impress anybody. These people obviously really love us. If they
It was memorable for sure. Yeah.
These are our people.
Yeah.
Right here. Oh my. I love some New Orleans stuff. Hey, you played with horns too. There's tons of horns players down there you could work with. So where do you see the evolution going? I know you said you're going further from the bluegrass with what you're talking about for the next album.
Anybody?
Kind of wherever. I mean,
Can't put us in a box.
it seems like there's like a folk thread in there still, songwriting, folk, kind of Americana, but like I don't know, the branches of that tree, if the folk in the songs are not, and the bluegrass is maybe like, for example purposes, like the foundation, like it just looks like I can't even tell you where the branches could go now. Before it felt like pretty predictable. There's only so much you can do, with the instrumentation that we had. And then you got your, people that have changed the game up throughout the years with stringed instruments. There's definitely pioneers, but I don't know. Now it's like, seems like it could go wherever it wants to go. And we don't really care what that looks like. We just keep doing it, I mean, obviously there's some thought and conscious decisions and stuff, but it's exciting to think there's maybe an avenue or a type of feel or music or groove that we haven't even explored yet, and that's pretty cool to be 10 years in and still like surprised by your own creativity, whether it's coming from the band collectively or one guy's something just happens on stage and you're like, whoa, we just went into that world. Like Jesse's been bringing up a little keyboard on stage, which is kind of breaking a lot of rules, but now there are no rules. So it's Mike's got a cool little percussion rig he's been bringing, our drummer. I've been playing some lap steel, like full plugged in. So it's pretty rad. I'm excited.
Nice. In search of the lost groove, huh?
Yeah, man.
Temple of the Lost Grooves.
Exactly.
I love it so much. That's fantastic. We're trying to wait for Michael to come so I can bother him for a minute there. What do you guys you hit some festivals last summer, right? You had a pretty good year, big year on the road, right?
Yeah, we stayed pretty busy. We got to do High Sierra out in California. which was super cool. Did a Pickin' on Picnic outside of St. Louis, which was a really, really dope festival. Yeah, there are quite a few. This year we've got, I'd say, even better of a festival lineup. It was kind of hard to pitch ourselves last year when we were like,
We just
yeah,
had a drummer.
it's Fireside, but they've added drums, and people are like, what? I thought they were a bluegrass band. But like when you come out, everybody we know, 90% of our long-term fans are like, it's just Fireside, but better.
Right.
5% of them are like, what's going on here?
How does playing High Sierra work? You didn't take drums with you. I guess you guys can take what you can fly with, and you have them provide the rest.
Yeah, they'll usually backline stuff like that, like bass amp, drums. Usually like we don't have to fly with mic stands and cables and stuff.
Right.
We used to just take our instruments, which was nice when we were
Right.
strings. But now, we fly our pedal boards, we fly some merch out there. It's definitely nicer to have the van and trailer because we've just got, lots of merch and gear and
Right.
stuff. But yeah, these fly dates are cool because actually that one we flew on Friday. We played High Sierra, and on Saturday we played the Outer Banks, North Carolina.
Like literally cross continental.
Wow. That's a
Yeah.
trip. So how'd the Outer Banks show go? Were you guys jet lagged, tired, or?
I thought it was great. It was
great.
hot. It was like a different type of hot. Both of them were hot as hell.
Dry and
but there's
humid.
like, I think for artists, there's like a magical place that you get to when you're like extremely tired or extremely like you've been traveling for a long time. And sometimes it brings out a really cool energy because you're like, you don't have the mental capacity to worry about it. You're like, I'm just gonna go up there and play.
Yeah, it's like you at a certain point you just kind of say like, I am what I am.
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
Like, and then you just kind of like you say fuck it, and it's just like that. You don't have to think about like all the others. It's like I'm here and I'm going to do the best that I can, and then you get some magic out of that a lot of times, man.
Oh, definitely. Almost like, yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
a lot of that makes me think like, I mean, like years ago when I just remember this one time we played like a barbecue. It was like a barbecue festival. And it was, I don't even remember. It was like a worldly barbecue festival.
There have been so many barbecue
Yeah, I know. We
festivals.
played a lot of, we've really ran the barbecue festival circuit. But we played this one, and it was like a private type gig. I mean, it wasn't like a thing that like you're not going there to see Fireside. Like
Are you talking about Charleston?
Yes.
I was trying to remember because
Yes.
literally I'm sifting through that
Dude,
barbecue festival.
there
that
are so
barbecue.
many.
Charleston.
not
There
that
are
one.
more than you can imagine.
But that one was.
I
that one
remember.
was bougie. It was
I
really
really-
good food.
Yes, it was the barbecue was dank, but I recall just being like, we're like, well, okay, we're background noise. We don't do this very often. I mean, this was a few years ago now, but I remember like at a certain point, like when we just kind of looked at each other and we're like, we're just having a good time now, and like we're just like, what sounds good, what feels good, and then before you know it, like we have like a giant crowd in front of us of people who are like, these guys are getting it right now. And it was just like there was no we just kind of threw off all of the preconceived notions and just we're going for it. And there's something special about that when it happens.
Gotta love it. Lost Groove.
Temple of the Lost Groove, dude.
Anything,
Lost Groove.
anything that you can announce for this year? Any festivals you can talk about? I know some lineups are starting to be released.
Yeah, I mean, we got Winter Wondergrass coming up in a few weeks.
Okay.
At the end of February.
Out in Colorado, right?
Yep, doing the one in Steamboat Springs. Have they announced? They've announced Swanee. So
Okay.
March will be at Spring Fest. Yeah, jumping all the way to September. That's Bender out in Vegas. That'll be our first time out there.
Oh, right.
There's some other ones during the summer
That we'll hear about. People just
for-
have to go to your website and check it out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We
which
can't
ones.
remember which ones have been announced or not.
Yeah, I don't want to get you in trouble.
Ooh.
It's fun. It's funny. And so we got the 2 singles coming up. Is there anything else? Like, are you going back on the road now, or are you doing the winter tour, or what's the deal with that?
We're off for the whole month of January, so this is a month of
Recording or
writing,
writing.
recording, creating, all of that. A few shows in February. We're playing the Lincoln Theater, playing in Asheville, and the Winter Wondergrass, and then April starts to pick back up.
There you go.
Some tours up. I think we'll be coming close to you in April.
Oh, cool.
I don't know if we're coming into Baltimore or
Oh, sorry.
But, yeah.
I see the fight behind me.
Are there
no,
cats
cat
fighting
fight.
each other?
This is the best part.
Look at that,
yeah.
man.
You got 10 on that.
I got-
Live cat fights here. Get down.
I love your recap videos. They're funny.
Thank you. Yes.
I
Well, we
watched
do
them.
have fun with that. New Year's got a little crazy there.
I haven't watched
yeah.
those.
One night, my mom gave me a 6-pack of Mad Elf, and I drank like 5
dude.
of them during the show. And
I don't. These guys might not know about trogs, but that's from my neck of the woods, dude. Yeah, Mad Elves are from a small a brewery in like Hershey, Pennsylvania, right?
Oh.
And trogs, they make this stuff called Mad Elf.
Okay.
It's like a Christmassy winter beer.
cranberries and
Dude,
cool.
they're like 11% or something.
They are.
Dude, they will
Dang.
get you destroyed, and they're delicious too.
you drink 5 of them, it's like drinking a 12-pack.
Yeah.
Yes. That's like Too Hearted. Bell's Too Hard always sneaks up on me.
Trogue is a great independent still brewery. So many of my favorite breweries seem to are being bought up. Oh, do we have a drummer?
No, Carson's hanging in the
Why don't you
shadows.
sit down, Carson? Why don't you have a seat?
He's a shadow walker.
A day walker.
Day
Eavesdropping
walker.
on y'all.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So, Lincoln Theater, where is that?
That's Raleigh.
It's in Raleigh.
Yep.
What is that? Is it what kind of capacity is it? Do you know?
Like
750?
6 or 7. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So that's like, the 3 of us actually went to college in Greenville, North Carolina, ECU.
Okay.
And so when we wanted to see nationally touring
Mhm.
bands, we'd drive to Raleigh, and Lincoln Theater was kind of like one of the main jam band spots. So I saw my first Keller show there. I saw a bunch of Yonder shows there. I saw this really cool Medeski, Martin, and Wood show there. And who is it? The Wood Brothers
Okay.
opened for him, but it was
Right.
before they were the Wood Brothers. So it's just
Sweet.
Oliver playing solo.
Damn, that's
And then Chris came out and backed him up for some songs, but it was before they used the term Wood Brothers, toured on that. So it's kind of cool to see that happening because, I love Medeski, Martin, and Wood, and I love the Wood Brothers. So it's like a really cool, it's kind of like Medeski, Martin, and Wood had kind of like, they were crushing, but, instrumental, and I think they all had their own things
It's
going on.
tough. Instrumental is tough. You gotta have the lyrics in order to hold people's attention.
Oh,
Give
yeah.
them some reference point to go back to.
Yeah.
Get to the chorus. Don't bore us.
Exactly. Thank you. New York Dolls. Every day of the week.
New York Dolls. I said.
The guy, the lead singer for the New York Dolls. Apparently, that's attributed to him originally. That
He's
phrase.
the guy. I didn't know that. Okay.
David Johansen,
Oh,
who was
cool.
also known as Buster Poindexter of
Hell
Hot
yeah.
Hot Hot fame.
Dude. I want
After he left the Dolls, he became a pop star with an alter ego.
Damn. Okay. Now I'll give him credit next time I use it.
Yeah, the New York Dolls, I've always said, were one of the 4 pillars of punk rock. Without them, you wouldn't have ended up with the CBGB scene and all
Man.
that kind of stuff.
I never
It didn't work. And hair metal got huge. They totally ripped off their dressing like girls thing.
Yeah.
The story goes that Kiss actually got the name of Kiss from a song of the New York Dolls called Kiss.
Oh, okay. So they were like 60s New York Dolls?
71, 72, 73. By 74, they had fallen apart because of dope. Johnny Thunder was the guitar player, and he joined the Heartbreakers. And then not Tom Petty's Heartbreakers, another band called the Heartbreakers. And they had songs like Chinese. They had like songs about dope, like Chinese lines or something like that, about the best dope you could buy. I mean, they were complete like degenerates.
They're so into it that it defined them.
They played to get drugs. Their whole existence was to, let's play a gig so we can get high tomorrow.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
They were one step above Bubbles on The Wire.
Bubbles,
the black guy on The Wire, who was the dope addict and the confidential informant.
Oh, gotcha.
You guys
I'm rewatching The Wire right now.
Who doesn't watch The Wire?
I don't watch The Wire.
I want to watch.
Really?
I know it's set in Baltimore, right?
Yes. I watch it. I like, they have the Jamestown apartments. I lived there when I was 4, 5, 6 years old with my mom. It's like really a head trip sometimes to watch.
Yeah, that's cool.
Hopefully,
like I've been in that convenience store before. I never knew they sold drugs out the back.
Yeah, probably New York Dolls bought some dope from them. Probably.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and David Johansen was the only one who decided, I really want to clean my act up. The rest of them, you never.
Yeah, man.
Sad.
Yeah. I know.
And they'll never get in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because they don't have rock and roll bands in there anymore. It's another story. My buddy Tim's like, shut up about that place. Every year, they release the lineup for who's going in every year, and I'm like, that's not a rock and roll person. That's not rock and roll.
What do you think about the Kennedy thing and the Grateful Dead?
That was so neat. I wish they had apparently they cut it, like what they showed on regular TV, that the performance was actually longer.
Right.
I'm wondering if Dead and Company or something tours at some point, and they have Rick instead of Mayer.
Ooh, interesting. What's
That's
your take on
it's
that?
going.
This goose is taking a break.
Right.
You think so, huh? I feel like that's a bold move. I mean, Rick's a great guitar player, but John is he's been like taken in and adopted by the Dead community now. There's a new person up there.
They have to change the name, right?
Yeah, right.
John Mayer,
Well, they probably call it Dead Ahead. Like
Dead Ahead,
in Mexico. I just don't think that Mayer wants to tour with them.
They call Rick.
I think he was fine with the Sphere. Like, they're doing the residency at the Sphere, but Bobby's going to want to go back on the road and play kids because that's what he wants to do. That man is going to drop dead on stage one day.
Dude, he's unstoppable, man.
Bruce style.
Yeah.
Right. And the guy from Morphine, Mark Sanborn or whatever his name was, he dropped dead on stage too.
Yeah, sure did.
And he was young. He shouldn't have. Colonel Bruce was, I saw Colonel Bruce like 30 years before he died. So he had been.
Man,
wow.
We met this guy at a session. Here I am. We met. We did this session. I can't remember who all was there. I think I was there with Travis Book. But so we were playing with Sammy Sheeler was there. He's like this legendary banjo player with a Lonesome River Band. And it turns out they play like mashy bluegrass. Like they're
down home.
It's a vibe, man. But it turned out that he was huge into Colonel Bruce and just like the jammy world. And he told me all these crazy things about Colonel Bruce that he could guess your birthday.
Colonel Bruce could.
Yes. Colonel Bruce could just by talking to you guess your birthday. And I'm like, that is just a wild thing.
I love where this interview has gone.
Yeah.
On that note, we got a drummer in the house.
Oh, right.
Nice. Michael. In here for a second. He's ready. He's stoked.
I got this.
Just got out of a bunch of Asheville traffic.
What's happening?
Michael, how we doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. I got to see Colonel Bruce one of the last times he played when he played for Paul Reed Smith's birthday.
Oh, cool.
And it was him and John McLaughlin. And John McLaughlin came out with Aquarium Rescue Unit, and I do not even know if tapes exist. I didn't take my gear, so.
Is Paul Reed Smith, is he from Baltimore? I know he's from Maryland, right?
Yeah, he's from Baltimore, yes. He had his birthday party at what's called Ram's Head Live.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, Michael, hello, the drummer.
What's happening?
Hey, how you doing? I mean, we've gone through a lot about you. We've been talking about you, and I guess I want to ask you, you walk into this and they're like, here's some bluegrass songs that do not have, it's a complete blank canvas. How'd you work through it? How'd you figure out what to add and what was going to work?
Well, I mean, I was familiar with bluegrass music and country music and, a lot of like the Aquarium Rescue Unit and some old Sting and some old music that kind of blended bluegrass kind of train grooves with kind of rock grooves. But yeah, I just listened, and I was a big fan of stuff like the Punch Brothers and those like kind of progressive string bands as well. So it was cool. It was like a blank slate. Really, it was nice to kind of not have a template to kind of learn an exact part. I was able to just kind of try out things that sounded and felt good, and I would bounce it off these guys, and they would tell me, what worked and what didn't, and we'd work on it together and went from there.
Nice. And I guess you're pretty comfortable in there now, huh?
Yeah, it's been real comfortable now. It's been a whole year.
Yeah, feels like an eternity.
Hey, that's a good thing. Can we get a little bit about your origin story, since we talked to all the other guys before? Like, when did you start playing?
Yeah, I started as a kid. My dad was a professional guitar player and singer for all through his 20s until he started a family, and he got me and my brother playing real young, around like 9 or 10. And I started playing with a family band around age 14, 15, with me, my brother, and dad doing classic rock cover gigs. So that was like my first thing. And then joined a rock band in Miami and played like some alt rock kind of stuff. And then I went the college route. I went to school. I went to Miami-Dade College, and then transferred to University of North Florida, and studied with Danny Gottlieb there for 3 years and got a bachelor's degree in jazz studies. So I got pretty heavy into jazz for a while, and I did musical theater gigs for a little while in the pit orchestra. And
you've seen a lot.
Yeah, so I had a kind of diverse. I always wanted
a lot.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're going through all and saying this, and you weren't here earlier. I saw one of your guys' sets from Ardmore over the New Year's, and I can hear all of that in what you do. I found it fascinating. When I walked into it, I didn't know what to expect, whether it was going to be a 4 on the floor. I'm just providing a beat, but I feel like all those things you mentioned, those pieces are all coming through. Is that conscious, or is that just you?
Oh, I mean, I think it's just the benefit of, 20 years of a pretty diverse kind of set of experiences, which I feel lucky to have. But yeah, it made me able to do like a lot of different styles and have a unique approach, I guess, to some things.
It's fantastic. You can now listen to a bluegrass song and have the jazz drum under it, and it's morphed it into something else there a little bit.
Yeah.
Definitely. Very good. So, all right. Well, we went through everything else pretty much there, but we were hanging out talking about Colonel Bruce waiting to meet you, Michael. I'm very excited. Where you guys are on Bandcamp, right?
Are we?
Yeah,
Sure.
We got
technically.
We got I don't know if we have our newest stuff is up there though. I'm not sure if probably.
And so where can we find this next single when it comes out then?
Oh, it'll be on Spotify and Apple Music and like YouTube and stuff. I do see a lot of bands though these days getting back to Bandcamp. I feel like even Goose has a pretty Bandcamp emphasis in their releases and stuff, which
Right.
I don't know.
Or in Bandcamp, someone could throw you $1.
Yeah, no, we
Whereas
should-
Spotify, they're giving you what, 0.00001 cents?
yeah, yeah. maybe that. I thought it was like going away for a minute, like becoming irrelevant, and then it's like has stuck around Bandcamp. Remember
They
Reverb?
got bought out by private equity.
As in town.
Bands in Town. That's another one. But yeah, no, it seems like people are still rocking Bandcamp. You know,
Right.
which is awesome.
Now, can we get physical copies of this stuff, or do you guys
Yeah,
have
yeah.
physical?
Yeah, the album. This will all be a part of an album, which we'll like make into vinyl, and I guess we'll still do CDs by the time it comes out. I don't know if people buy CDs. I guess they do still.
We'll make CDs.
We'll make some CDs, but yeah. But for right now, it'll be streaming until we probably have the compilation of the album. But
Right. No tapes, huh?
but I don't know, man. I did see one band recently. It was like
Taper's Choice. Taper's
Dude,
Choice releases tapes.
yeah. There was an indie band around. I want to say Asheville, because Asheville's got like a pretty big indie like hipster rock scene, and tapes are very hip. And I'm pretty sure they had cassettes at their table, and it was like a whole. But that was just totally a part of their vibe. But
Right. Scott McMicken from Dr. Dog
yeah,
has something called Press On Records, and that's all he sells is cassettes.
I mean, how do you? Who do they still manufacture tape decks? Like.
Yeah, right.
Like,
I mean, I always listen in my car, and I haven't seen a car with a tape deck.
I know, but as far as new physical stuff, we are Live Fire Volume 1 is out on a vinyl right now at like the merch table and stuff, and you can buy it online. And that is from
Check it out.
a show from Charlotte, North Carolina, last year, I believe. Yeah, last year. And
Right. Are you a label? Are you working with a label, or is this just you're pressing them yourself and putting them out?
yeah, just independent. We might have done that one through Symphonic. Did we do that with that one? I don't know. No, I think that was all independent. Yeah, labels are interesting. That's a whole nother podcast worth of chatter. But yeah, it'd be nice to know more.
Does a band even need a label
I don't
anymore?
know, man. I feel like I've seen a lot of big, huge pop acts, like Billie Eilish's like story of her brother making those beats in his room on like Logic with, her singing out of like a $150 Shure condenser mic, and you can do so much now. And then with TikTok and Instagram and YouTube, like you can really propel your career independently. In a way that like label scout might see you and then pick you up and take you to that next tier, but you can make a lot of headway on your own just with those platforms now. And Bandcamp too, probably.
They used to provide support. I mean, but a record label used to provide support,
right.
promotion, and all that. And
Right.
it seems like we talked to Maggie Rose. When
Yeah.
we talked to her a while back, she had the album in the can, and they had been sitting on it because they were shopping it around. And
Right.
obviously, that was the right idea because she has exploded in the last year.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I found that fascinating that they were still going that old, I guess I'd call Nashville route of doing it.
I think that there is still a power that like labels have, especially in like sort of the old guard type of industries like country and Americana, where you have like, sort of these like gatekeeping entities that like the dudes or the people up at the top have known each other for decades. And, you can basically get ushered into a deal or a management situation or a tour with a big act just by knowing that person, that connection.
or end up on a Rolling Stone list or something.
Exactly. Yeah. It still exists, all that stuff,
Right. People still talk about Rolling Stone lists, and I'm like, dude, it's clickbait. They've been clickbait since the 80s before we knew what clickbait was.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Top 500 guitar solos of all time.
Right. And it's always like Stairway to Heaven. You're like, come on, guys.
Yeah, right.
Do you remember, are you guys old enough to remember Labor Day weekends? they would do the top 100 rock songs on like 98 Rock or something like that.
Oh,
And
yeah.
inevitably you were like, it's going to be Freebird or Stairway to Heaven for number
Totally. 106.1 was the classic rock station growing up, and that's what my dad, he listened to that in the oldies station. And yeah, they would do that in the countdown, and it was all like the same stuff every year, you know.
Right.
But
Layla was always up there in the top.
Yep, exactly.
That's fantastic. All right, you guys got anything else you want to throw out there? I know you guys are going to get working on some new material there.
Yeah. I don't know.
Right.
Peace
All
and
right.
love.
I'm going to send everybody to your website. We're going to put some links in. I'll throw some links up if you want to email me anything specific you want to do. Not a big supporter of Spotify, but YouTube.
I hear you, man.
You know, well, you know the issue with Spotify. I go to Spotify to buy music, right?
Yeah.
Spotify wants to sell me a subscription.
Right. Yeah. How do you consume music mostly?
YouTube, or I still download stuff. Like people send me links. You know, I got the new Garcia Grisman duo. Somebody sent me the flax they ripped.
Sick.
Dog.
So, you know, I don't feel bad about not buying Jerry Garcia stuff, but
Yeah.
I still try to buy physical music because I'm not always I'm very particular about my t-shirts, and I usually wear punk t-shirts.
Yeah.
So I don't lose, but I try to buy music and stuff like that from people, and that's why I love Bandcamp, because you can throw somebody a buck, you know, if you put, you know, if it's free, and then they're like, you know, if you want to donate something. Sometimes people are crazy and they'll want like $30 for downloads on it, but I guess they're figuring, hey, if someone will pay.
Yeah. We should look into Bandcamp a little more. We'll get our team on that.
All right. Well, does the other two want to pop back in and say hey for a second? Then we'll probably we'll close this up.
Wait in the wing.
And Jesse, or you guys got anything you want to throw out? I think we covered a lot.
Yeah, just stay tuned for the new music. We're going to be dropping a lot this year, and we're going to be pushing real hard with the drums and trying to get out the new sound. Like, you know, to anybody listening who loved Fireside before, it's still Fireside. It's just Fireside with more colors and more.
It's just like Fireside, only different.
Evolved, yeah. And for those of you who hated Fireside before,
you'll love this. Right, there you go. Good answer. All right, thank you so much, guys, for coming on. I really appreciate it.
That's great.
Hang out
with you.
Hang out while we run the outro there. And for everybody watching, remember, find us on socials at All That Jam Pod. We're everywhere. And make sure that you like and subscribe. And remember, stay beautiful, but don't stay underground too long.